There we go. We live.
We on there? We on
Yes,
there?
sir.
We on
Yes,
there.
sir. We on there. We
What's good,
here.
fellas?
What up?
What's going on? What's going on, man? This week I was in some conversation with one of my buddies, and we just had a small conversation. They were talking about removing a actor, top notch actor, and it started making me think. Think about one of our greatest actors of all time, and I don't want to limit him to one of our greatest black actors, but he's just one of the greatest actors, period, of all time, in Denzel Washington. So, I started thinking of his catalog, and I'm a huge Denzel fan, and I don't know anyone that hasn't watched at any time any of his movies. So, one of my things, I wanted to ask the fellas, because it's tough, man. It is certainly tough. If y'all could come up with your top five Denzel Washington movies, your top five, period, Denzel Washington movies. And when I start looking at it, man, I'm like, yo, this dude's catalog is ridiculous.
Yep.
This dude's catalog is extensive. What'd you say, Dre?
I said I agree.
It's ridiculous, man. So I don't know who want to go first. I could go first if y'all want me to. But just sitting there thinking about it, man, his thinking about Denzel. So first, with when Denzel, and I don't have a particular order, for me, I'm gonna go with Fences. I'm a huge fan of Fences. I am a huge fan of the play Fences by August Wilson, set in Pittsburgh, and just the playwright. I definitely like August Wilson, and when they brought it to film, it was big. So I definitely appreciate it.
Hey,
Troy,
Keith,
what's up?
I should be shot because I've seen Fences on the stage, but the other day was my first time seeing Denzel and what's the actress name that played his wife? Escapes my mind.
Yeah. From How to Get Away with Murder.
From How to Get Away. I forget her name already, but yo, they were incredible.
Phenomenal.
Good chemistry. Good chemistry.
Absolutely phenomenal. So
they were incredible.
Fences, I don't have a particular order, so I'm gonna go with Fences. I'm a big Equalizer fan. I like 1 and 2, but I certainly like
Equalizer.
Robert
that was some Home Depot murder. Home Depot.
I gotta go with Malcolm X. We talked about our top black movies a while ago, and EB reminded me when Malcolm did this.
Yes, sir.
Everybody to go.
No man should have that much power.
No man should have that much power. So I'm a definitely throw Malcolm X in there. And I think I'm gonna be honest with you, it was a struggle. I was going Mo Better Blues, Glory.
Stop. Just pick one. Don't tell them all.
I'm not gonna tell them all. I'm just saying I was struggling with it. So I'm gonna go with Mo Better Blues, man. I'm gonna go with Mo Better Blues. And my last one, Ward and I were kind of briefly talking about it, was John Q.
Oh yeah,
John Q was. That was
I almost forgot about John Q.
That's on my list.
That's on your list, When he takes the hospital emergency room.
Oh man.
As his hostage, man. His range is ridiculous, man. So that's my top 5 when it comes to Denzel. What y'all got?
I'll go next. My top 5, no particular order. I think I said this in terms of my top 5. Black films. One of them was Glory. Love Denzel. I believe he won an Academy Award for that, for Best Supporting Actor. That was his first Academy Award. Okay. So go with that. My next one is The Great Debaters.
Yes,
The Great Debaters.
Yes, sir.
I think he directed that movie as well.
That's a good one,
he did.
He was, the mentor and professor, for these, young college debaters, and I forget the college's name, but it's based on a true story. And you know, I really, really enjoyed that. I could watch that, you know, from now until, you know. My other film is you know, which is a sleeper. You know, I think what's his name? Jack Hackman or something like that.
Yeah. Oh,
Crimson
Gene
Tide.
Hackman.
Yeah, Gene Hackman. Yeah, Crimson Tide.
Crimson Tide.
Okay. Okay.
I'm going back in a little bit. You know,
Yeah.
Crimson
Yeah.
Tide, man. That was a powerful,
It definitely was, yeah.
you know,
Mhm.
a movie. You know, my other one is, you know, He Got Game.
He Got Game.
Ooh.
Yeah.
He Got
Yeah.
Game. I like He Got Game.
Wasn't that Jake Shuttlesworth?
Yeah,
Shuttlesworth.
exactly.
Sounds like a
You know?
insurance guy, named Jake
Yeah.
Shuttlesworth.
I think he really you know, he really brings Spike Lee's movies, you know, to life. You know, I think he makes Spike. I think he kind of makes Spike Lee's movies better than what they really would be. You know, if you know, he weren't in there. I think I have one more. I want to go with Philadelphia.
Ooh.
They had a court scene in there where, you know, he put his thing down on that closing argument, man.
I can see that, Dre.
And I loved it. You know, I take that passion and I translate it, you know, to, you know, the cases that I have, and when I have trials, you know, I think that resonates with me, and I think about, you know, that movie for, you know, for multiple reasons. You know?
Right.
You know,
I gotta check that out again, Dre. That court scene.
I'm sorry?
That was with Tom Hanks, right? Tom Hanks was in that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so that was a great film. You know, I think he should have won, you know, something for that, you know, but he didn't. But those would be my my top 5.
Gotcha. All right, I'm gonna go next. Now, this is kind of tough for me because I am just like you, Keith. This is tough for me because I'm a huge Denzel Washington fan. And I'm sitting up here and I'm looking at this list, man. I wrote down probably about 20 of Denzel's movies, man.
Yeah,
20.
definitely. Yeah.
And now he has probably over 50.
Right.
But I wrote down about 20 of them. But if I had to choose the top 5, and I'm gonna go in this order from 5 to 1. I'm gonna start off and go a little hardcore. I'm going with American Gangster, Frank Lucas.
Yeah.
Love it. Yes.
Go with that one. Now I'm gonna slide back a little bit. I'm gonna go with John Q. Heartwarming
nice.
John Q.
John Q's
Next, yeah. Now this might be a sleeper right here. This was a great movie that I saw. It was action packed, and then it had some good lines in there. I'm going with Safe House. Anybody ever seen Safe House?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot about
Safe
that
House.
movie.
Yep.
That was a good movie.
Yep.
Safe House. So that's number 3. So number 2, I'm gonna go with this line. Who want to get paid? Who want to get paid? I'm going with Training Day.
Training Day.
And my last one, y'all already know what my number 1 is going to be. I'm going with this one. Keith, you just said it. You talked about it earlier.
Yes,
I'm going
sir.
with Malcolm X. I'm going with Malcolm X. That's my top 5.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, real quick, honorary. I got to go with the Equalizers. Honorary. The Equalizer.
Equalizer.
1 and 2.
KD, what you got, KD?
You go? Oh, you want me to go?
Yeah.
I had again. I was kind of consumed with other things, but like, yeah, Denzel's got a catalog. Like, so I think y'all said almost all of them. I like Philadelphia, like Dre said. That was like, I think, one of my first introductions to really seeing Denzel on another platform as another character, when he was portraying the attorney that was defending Tom Hanks, and it was during the rise of the AIDS epidemic.
Yep.
So kind of seeing those dynamics play out. But he showed his stuff in that courtroom. Alonzo Harris, Training Day. King Kong ain't got nothing on me.
Come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's great that he got an Oscar for the portrayal of Alonzo Harris, but it's bittersweet because he's got so many other great portrayals like Fences, like Malcolm X, that he didn't get an award. So it just shows you how they celebrate us when we play those type of roles. You know, the other one, American Gangster, like EB brought out, Frank Lucas. You know, to see him, when he shot Idris Elba, broad daylight. Broad daylight.
I wasn't expecting that.
Ain't nobody say nothing to Frank. So American Gangster. Another one was Inside Man.
That was good.
That was pretty good. Denzel had some good action flips. You know, like you said, Equalizer was good, but Inside Man was thorough. And I think Spike might have had something to do with it.
I think he was
Inside Man,
executive producer or something like that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And my last one is Bleak Gilliam from Mo Better Blues.
Yeah.
Y'all remember the scene? Y'all remember the scene inside the nightclub, and he's playing real intense because the one John got the red dress on, and then the other one has the red dress on, and he's like, he was amazing in that movie.
In that film, he was.
And to also see the rivalry between him and another great actor, Wesley Snipes, in that movie.
Yeah.
That's my top 5.
That's your top 5?
You know, it's just like everybody, I think we all agree on that top movie, Malcolm X, period. But it's like he has so much work. There's other movies of his that I will watch every time it comes on. Like, and there's some that you guys didn't even touch on, probably even forgot about. Yeah, Remember the Titans. I'll watch that every time it come on.
Right.
The Book of Eli.
Book of Eli.
You know what I mean? The Book of Eli was tough. You know, I'm not a religious dude, but that joint was tough. I'm gonna go way back in the day. Ricochet.
Oh, I forgot about that.
I will watch. Even though Ice-T was a bad actor, he made the movie. But I really liked him in Ricochet.
Right.
And Roman J. Israel.
Yeah.
I didn't see that one yet.
I haven't seen that either.
Definitely.
That's when he was an attorney, right?
Yeah.
Yes. If you ain't watched it, check it out. That's a good movie.
Hey, Ward, is that on Netflix, Ward?
I believe so. That joint had me at the edge of my seat. I paid much attention to it. It was a good flick. Good flick. And my last one I want to touch on is Deja Vu. I like the concept. I like the concept of what they were doing, and it was ridiculous. The where he could actually, for those split seconds, he could go back in time and find out what actually happened. That was a good flick. That was a good flick.
Some of his plays, man, Fences. I love the Raisin in the Sun. I don't know if you guys had an opportunity to see Raisin in the Sun. And do y'all remember he was on St. Elsewhere?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was sitting thinking about that, man. I say, this dude got, like Anita says, he got so many layers to his work. It's ridiculous, man. So shout out to Denzel. Go ahead, Dre.
And his son is doing really well too. Yeah.
His
son is starting to,
he's got Tenet is out.
Yeah. He's
John Davis.
Very talented.
He was in Black Klansman, right? Was that Black Klansman?
Black Klansman, yeah. He started out on Ballers, I believe.
Ballers, he's good with The Rock. Yeah, he's good.
Yeah. So shout out to the Washingtons, man.
Yes, sir.
Definitely. We want to welcome everybody to Just Our Thoughts with the Fellas, where we talk about trending topics, cultural news when it comes to our Black culture. We talk about national as well as local news, and we just simply have conversations that Black men want to have. So welcome to everyone that comes back to us on 7 o'clock every other Monday. We certainly have some pop-ups, and we will be letting you know when our pop-ups are. So we want to say thank you for joining in with us. Go to our Just Our Thoughts YouTube page, subscribe and like. Also go to Just Our Thoughts fan page on Facebook and like our page. We have some content on there. So we just gonna get into it. Last week, we had we saw Twitter blow up, man, and a lot of comments, some cancel culture, some going on when someone makes a comment, that's legendary in our culture, and we typically try to rid ourselves of them. Ice Cube, Ice Cube was asked to show, I don't know how you want to say it, to show his plan for Black America to the Democratic Party and to the Republican Party. And, after that, there was a tremendous amount of backlash that Ice Cube had gotten from it. I certainly want to get y'all thoughts for it. I ain't get a chance to check the chat. I know the fellas was having some great conversation, when it comes to counselor at law and the professor. Having some wonderful conversation, man. So, I definitely wanted to get y'all thoughts on that, on Ice Cube, him working and showing. I don't want to say working with. I certainly don't want to say working with, because I had a chance to listen to what Ice Cube was saying, but showing the Republican Party his plan, and them taking bits and pieces of it. So if you can, let's have that conversation, fellas. What you think?
Let the professor start.
Oh, okay. Hey, sometimes the fellas like you talk too much, Professor Kev.
KD.
So Ice Cube's plan is the contract for Black America.
Right.
And in that contract for Black America, he has 13 different agendas or issues that he along with other economists, professors on racial disparity, he involved a lot of knowledgeable individuals to bring them together to help him put together these 13 different items in the contract for Black America. It is a website. If you Google Ice Cube, it'll take you right to the contract for Black America that lists all 13 issues. And I got to give him credit, because these are some really riveting items to bring to those that may have the key to unlock the door for many of these items to come to fruition for Black America. I think Ice Cube took a lot of unnecessary heat for his stance on this contract for Black America, primarily because he's been labeled a sellout because he met with the Trump administration. Mind you, Ice Cube had this contract for Black America out in about June or July of this year. And then you hear Donald Trump on stage within the last month or so talking about the platinum plan for Black America, all right, which he promises like $400 million or so being poured into the Black community.
Yeah. Ice
Cube had been promoting this on the Breakfast Club early in the middle of the summer, way before Donald Trump's platinum plan, way before the administration came out and said thank you to Ice Cube for helping us with the platinum plan. Way before people have been calling him a sellout, he identified, along with others that he enlisted to help him really put this together. He had this thing out and issued around June or July. And in this plan, he also stated that he wanted to hear from us about how we could better it, how we could make it stronger, what other items we probably could add to it. So he left it open for a lot of us to critique it. None of us knew about this or critiqued it prior to all of this mess that's coming out now. But now, people have to take a look at Ice Cube in May, June, and July, really bringing this thing together, this contract for Black America, and these 13 items. And if you really review it, you'll see that he put together some content and some substance that should have been presented to the Trump administration and should have been presented to the Biden-Harris campaign as well. Cube said on a couple different platforms that the Trump administration wanted to hear him. The the Biden-Harris ticket only wanted to hear him after the election, So I don't see Cube as a sellout for meeting with the Trump administration or for letting them review and critique his contract for Black America. Do I think he's the ideal spokesperson for us? Maybe, maybe not, but who's the judge? Who's to say that, he is not the one to present this to these individuals that have the ability to bring some of these things to pass. So I think it's unfortunate that, like we talked earlier, how Black people can be so judgmental, of one another. Well, number one, we're trying to do something great for our own people, and people start to question your intent. Nobody knows what's in my heart except for me and God. Tupac said it best, only God can judge me. You know what I'm saying? And to say that he had some type of intent to profit for himself, or he was being used as a pawn, is really selfish, and it's unfair to express that about Ice Cube, who I feel has been, doing things for the community. And I'm not talking about the NWA days, but even after that, with Cube Vision and things of that nature, he's done some good things, some great things for the Black community. And now, he's enlisted other Black intellectuals and people with skills to put this package together and to present it. I give him lots of credit, but don't label him in negative terms just because he had a seat at the table to present this. I got more, but y'all chime in on this. Come on, y'all chime in on this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've caught some things about what Cube said, and you're right on the fact of, maybe he's not the right guy, to represent us to our, to put across, all the information and all these basically demands that we as a Black culture want from the next administration, because that's what it's really going to come down to, is the next administration. And I kind of see the why the Democrats said, only, we don't want to do nothing until after the election, because basically they can't do nothing until after the election, because if they're not voted in, what's going to happen? Cube only goes to one side, and then but even in the same breath, he never said that he was for a side. He just wants to go and say, I want to present this to whoever is going to be in power, because they're the ones that's going to make these decisions anyway. So I can see Cube coming off with his passion, wanting to say, like, look, these are demands that we as the Black community are putting upon the government, and you guys need to react. But I'm going to talk to whoever is going to react. So if Trump comes up, well, and we all know Trump is going to say, well, yeah, let's look at this to try and get his Black votes up now, because that's exactly what he needs. But I mean, Cube is a very passionate dude. He may have come off a little probably like me, saying like, look, hey, I want this, and this is how it's going to be, and it should be. But he may not, like what Kev said, he may not be the right dude that we need to basically be a representative of us. But but the thing, I feel him wholeheartedly on what he's trying to put out there. And another point I just want to say is that, like, a lot of stuff that his plan has brought were plans from other people, but it's just like they want to do like a legislation. He wants to make a contract. He wants to make a binding contract and say, look, this is what you are going to do for us, and not say, I hope you get in there and do right by us.
Okay.
Right.
Let me jump in real quick. I think Ice Cube's intentions are great. I like what he's trying to do, and I agree with the point when he said that Black progress is a bipartisan issue. That's totally correct. I think where the disconnect came in was when the Trump administration sent out that tweet, basically saying that they're going to shout out Ice Cube for his willingness to work with the Trump administration. So when African Americans, when you hear that Trump, what everything that he's doing, right? When you hear that people, you want to work with him, that just leaves a sour taste in everybody's mouth. Now, I agree with some of the things that Ice Cube has in there, like that police reform, making the municipalities liable for actions and making them mandatory to use dashboards and body cams. I agree with all that. But then on the flip side, people are looking at that song that he put out a few years ago that said, "Arrest the president. You got the evidence." And then the last point I want to make was that he said, Ice Cube also said that the Republicans are putting $5 billion on the table to have discussion. So it makes you wonder, like, where he's going with this. But again, I agree with his intentions. His intentions are great.
And piggyback off of that, I agree with Eric on this in terms of his intentions. But I always say, we can't play checkers. We have to play chess. We have to look past. I understand that Trump is in power. I understand that, but are we going to align ourselves with anyone that's in power? I believe that we can get things done on a communal level, opposed to and that's where you should start. You should start from a communal level and broaden your span. He didn't. I don't hear him talking about going to mayors or even governors. He's like, hey, I'm going to people who is in power, and I want them to listen. Hey, I don't trust Trump, because I think that he has a hidden agenda, and I think that's where, as Eric said, the disconnect came. It's like, hey, you're going to align yourself with this guy, you're going to trust this guy to do X, Y, and Z, and now he knows that when I say Trump knows that he has that Ice Cube has a following. I just wanted him to be a little bit more assertive and more, if you will, confident, in him saying, like, listen, from the beginning, I'm not doing anything, to hinder, our Black community in terms of aligning myself with President Trump or that administration. If this administration wants to get something done, I'm with anybody who wants to get something done. But he laid back, and
he said that. He said that.
I understand he said that after the fact.
He said that.
Wait a minute, so you don't feel he was assertive?
I don't feel that he was as assertive. No.
He said it. Everything you're saying, he said it.
Can you let me finish?
I'm just trying to say, he said exactly what you said.
He said it 3 times. So
go ahead.
What I'm saying is, I think he allowed, the narrative to be put out there. That's why people had a bitter taste in their mouth, because he allowed that narrative. Then it's like, hey, he's on the Cuomo, he's on this show, he's on that show, he's putting out a tweet, he's like, hey, I'm bipartisan, da 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 da. So he allowed that to kind of like fester, and that's why I always say that in terms of what he's saying, and I had a problem with that, is that I don't care whoever's in power, I'm going to align myself, with them. And sometimes, you can't align yourself with everyone that's in power, because that person who's in power may have a hidden agenda. So that's where I think, as Eric said, the disconnect came, with
Well,
some of the black people in the community. I love what he's trying to do, and I hopefully he gets it done,
you know
but
what?
I think it's with the person that he's doing it with. If you sleep with snakes, you know, people are going to look at you like that. That's just my
Yeah, but
that's just my
he could be a
thought.
snake charmer.
It's just like
You
my
got
thought.
But
it.
you know what?
You
But you
got
know
to
what I
You got
really
to
think about it is that Cube is like, we never known Cube to be, coming off with these long-winded explanations. And I
Of
feel
course
Cube
not.
because I'm kind of the same way. I want to get right to the point, tell you what's on my mind, and leave it at that. But it's like, it sounds like everybody wants to hear all these unnecessary words from Cube to explain himself. It ain't
Cube,
necessary.
Cube has never been the type to be in a position, well, not in a position where he needed to explain himself. Cube was never that individual. Cube has always been one to be a leader, to just go out. I think when to EB's point, he made a point of Trump's staffer, Katrina Pearson, when she put that shout out. I think that was strategic. I think it was certainly strategic in the fact that she wanted those that were supportive of Ice Cube to see, look, all right, so if Ice Cube is working with Trump and he has this contract with Black America and working with the Trump party, maybe we should, and this could be possibly for undecided voters, to swing that to swing that way. And it's interesting that even after sitting down, Trump only had 2 pages. I've only seen 2 pages of that platinum plan to help Black America. So I thought that was interesting. I thought it was strategic from Katrina Pearson. I thought it was a headliner. For me, when it comes to cancel culture, I sometimes am disappointed at how quick we rid ourselves of individuals that's done so much for our community without knowing what conversations were going on behind the closed door, without knowing, the process that went on. We just jump on board to these headlines and not even do our own research. Now Cube is this, Cube is that. Cube has done so freaking much for our community. This cat started off with, forget the police, with NWA. We
Man,
know.
just say it like it is.
Would you say, yeah, you got
Say
that,
it like
Roy.
it is. Fuck
Yeah,
the
you got that
police.
one. That's your role.
Yeah, fuck the police.
What do you say, Ward? I missed that. What do you say?
If I can interject right quick, Brenda Jones, I think she makes a good point to, not support the point that I was making, but it's more so, a point that I did make. It says, she says, I don't think that he allowed it, but it wasn't getting the attention that it needed to get. So sometimes you have to let the talks begin to happen to move the message. And I agree with that. I do agree
Right.
with that. That's
You know
from
what?
Brenda Jones.
You know what? And piggyback on that, it was like I was watching Roland Martin was talking to Cube. And the question was posed like, well, why did you do it? And he's like, basically because I'm just doing what the politicians should have been doing. It's like, this really ain't my role, but because of the people that we have in place, that we thought we had in place, that should be doing this action, that should be taking these stances, ain't doing the job. So who else going to do it?
Agreed.
Right,
Professor,
right.
Somebody
Professor,
got to do it.
Professor, end up. We know you just biting your lips and wanting to. Go ahead, Professor.
Somebody said, "Let me finish. Let me finish." So
Well, that was like 3 people ago. So you good now.
Take it to the green.
Can I
Yeah,
get in?
Yeah, we let you talk.
So the I gotta look at some of his interviews because I really don't remember Cube saying that he aligned himself with Trump.
He did.
So I think that's
I don't think
that's
he
kind of
with Trump, but it looks like he's aligning himself with Trump.
Okay, well, looks can be deceiving,
Yeah.
and a lot of this is like Keith said, it's a narrative that has been put out by the Trump administration to try to pull in Black people because they're trying to use Cube's integrity against him. I look at, but when you think of Cube, you got to look at some of the historical things that have happened with Black America. In 1920, Marcus Garvey had a meeting with the KKK because Marcus Garvey was for having a separate but equal. He met with the KKK because he realized that both of them had similar intentions, which was to have separate schools, separate economies, separate land. So Marcus Garvey, and again, he was criticized the same way Cube is being criticized, but we still look at Marcus Garvey as one of the great intellectual leaders in Black history. Malcolm X, let me finish, bro. Malcolm X in 1954, after Brown versus Board, the Board of Education, when segregation was found to be illegal, Malcolm X, he was mad about it because the Nation of Islam was against desegregation.
Integration.
They were against integration. So Malcolm X, with the permission of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he met with the KKK, because he saw that they had similar interests, and he wanted to find out what can we do to make sure that we can have our own. What can we do to have certain territories and land, so that we can build our own? So, and Malcolm X took a lot of heat because of that. But again, we consider him one of the greatest Black leaders. Sometimes it takes an unpopular stance to try and make some moves, because if we know it or not, white supremacy runs this country. And no matter who you talk to, it's going to be a white person or a white man, a white politician that has access to allowing certain of these 13 points on this Black contract, because white supremacy runs America. And until we either decide that we are going to transition out of white America and establish our own territory and land and schools and economy, or are we going to live as Dr. King has fought and struggled for, that civil rights movement to be integrated? So we look at Cuba, and I'm pointing at 2 previous historical figures that saw the need to sit at these tables with white supremacists who were politicians, who were law enforcement, who were in the government, to determine whether or not we can either live together and be equal, or can we peacefully own territory so that we don't have to integrate? So I kind of see that Ice Cube has taken a lot of unfair heat, because he was invited to sit down with persons of power that can effectively put the plan into place, and I saw somebody comment, like, any person of color that's going to be selected to sit at a table with Trump is going to be criticized.
Yeah.
If it was Denzel, we would hang Denzel over the fire.
Yeah.
If it was a pastor or a bishop, we would hang them over the fire. If it was Steve Harvey, we would hang them over. Kanye West, we would hang him over the fire. Any Black person that would sit at the seat with Trump, we would criticize him rather than see, okay, this is somebody that's going in with an agenda, with a proposal, with a detailed plan. And again, as I prefaced early,
An ulterior motive.
Cube might not be the ideal spokesperson for us, but
Right.
I give him a lot of credit for being an innovator and risking the fact that he's going to be crucified by our people to sit at the table and see what he could get done with the current administration, because the current administration might be the same administration in the year 2021 after this election.
Finish.
Go ahead, Dre. Did you have something?
I just wanted to, all I wanted to say is that, what you mentioned, is in fact true. But I see it differently. I see it I see it in the vein. I see it in the vein where, you have Marcus Garvey. He wanted the same thing as Ku Klux Klan wanted. You have Malcolm X. Malcolm X wanted to separate as well. He did not want to integrate. But here, this individual, Trump was speaking about, his intentions, we don't know what his intentions are. Those people's intentions, the Ku Klux Klan, they were surface. They weren't camouflaged in any kind of way. They weren't underground in any kind of way. So that's what I'm saying in terms of the trust factor. I think that's what people, because I believe that if it was a President Pence, people, I don't think Q will be taking as much heat as he's taking at this point. I just think it's because of Trump, and what Trump stands for is why, like, he's taking as much heat as he is. I love what Cube is doing. I just wish it was going a different way in terms of how he's doing it. And I think that there are all other alternatives that could be done for him to get the same result, probably better result than working with the Trump administration. That's just me.
Hey, Keith, can I bring it home?
He's not working with the Trump administration. He's not working with. That's the thing. We got to get rid of that word with.
You got to.
He's working.
He's not. Yeah.
Well,
he's not. He's not.
It is on the record of saying that he met with the Republicans. So,
okay, he met with them, but he's not working.
Hold on, but when you say Republicans, that is the area that Trump represents. Trump represents the Republicans. So if Ice Cube is meeting with the Republicans, it's then going to trickle back up to Trump to see what his whole decision is going to be. Bottom line, I really just want to see how this whole thing pans out. I do think that Ice Cube has some great intentions on this, but I just hope that the Trump administration and the Republicans, I hope that they're sincere with what they're trying to do.
And that's my.
I wanted to read a comment from Sherrod Dunlap, Jay Dunlap. He said, Keith, so why would he jump out the window like that? This is from Sherrod Dunlap. Did he forget all that he's done? I hear y'all, but if this was street politics or even regular politics, his rep is stuff. Yeah. I just can't take him seriously doing all this before the election. Jay, just to respond to you, this is not street. This is not the street. This actually encompasses the country and the nation. I get where you come from, and I respect that, but this not the street. This is simply, the way things are done, is totally different. So I did have a question though, for the fellas. With the country, as African Americans, we built this country. This country was built on our backs. This is a country that was stolen from natives. We were seen as less than, as 3/5 of a man, as the 13th Amendment indicated. James Baldwin said in his book, he writes in The Fire Next Time, that you do not, we're not expected to aspire to excellence, but you were expected to make peace with mediocrity. we're viewed by us being viewed by racists isn't new. We've been called the N-word for so long. We've been profiled by police. We walk into stores, man, and they still follow us to this day when we're shopping. If there was a plan, um, and I don't want to say the platinum plan, but if there was a plan that would certainly help the Black community significantly, money pumped into our communities, jobs, like real jobs, not this 2-page thing that Trump had. Could you put aside the fact that this guy was a known racist and consider what would that vote do for the community?
Yeah, I think if I can speak on that, yeah, I think I could, because I think you have racism, running prevalent. But the thing is, discrimination. So you could be racist without discriminating.
Right.
If that makes any sense, to you
Makes
guys.
perfect sense.
It does.
So, if I'm able to, climb the corporate ladder, if I'm able to, have the same pay as my white counterparts, and if I'm able to, on my resume, get that position, then I'm all for it. I'm all for it. He's not, albeit that Trump, is the president. He's not, going to be sitting across the table from me in terms of an interview. So he's not actually going to have his hands on these things. Even if he does, even if this plan does go through, the governors are going to be the ones that allocate, these funds in the communities. So those are the people that we need to be concerned about. And the fearful thing is that he ridicules the governors of certain cities, the Democratic cities. He ridicules them at every chance that he gets. So like the governor or the mayor of Chicago, or the governor of Michigan, or the governor of New York. He has great issues with them, where he may even hinder allocating funds to that particular state. So, but if he's sincere, which we don't know if he's sincere or not, I would say nay, but I definitely would be willing to move forward in terms of working with them.
Hey Dre, I like how you said move forward instead of voting for it.
Of course.
Oh man. Anybody else want to answer that?
Well, I don't think you hey buddy. Later, okay. I don't think I gotta like you to sit at it. Okay, buddy. I don't think I gotta like you in order to sit at a table and have negotiations with you.
I agree.
I agree.
I think just to be able to sit down and to work out, to be able to negotiate or find a settlement or find to mediate between two parties. Business is business. I don't have to like you in order to do business with you. I don't need to like your personal. I don't need to be concerned with your personal biases, or your views or your perspective about me. I just want to handle business. And if we're serious about negotiating, simply in terms of this contract for Black America, irregardless of your perspective and your views, I can sit down and I can meet with you. It's called delegation. It's called delegating. Having the ability for parties to meet together, irregardless of preferences or personal biases, to come to a specific reasonable agreement to move to better one another. Because I believe the contract for Black America will also be beneficial for white America as well. You know what I'm saying? So, even in what Cube has developed with this contract for Black America, he has a part in it that's called Black responsibility. And it really focuses on our own responsibility because this contract doesn't come without us doing some part of. I'm hearing a lot of feedback on somebody's end.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah. So you know, so you know, I think that it has a lot to do with us. It has a lot to do with how much we're willing to, you know, put down our resentment against the things Trump has said, our anger at some of the things that he has done, and sometimes you just gotta humble yourself if you're going to have that opportunity to meet with opposition, you know, to come to some type of truce or treaty or some type of resolution so that our agenda can be pushed through on a federal level, because many of these points in the contract for Black America are things that can be done on a federal level, that can be mandated, that can be a nationwide mandate that can go into effect immediately. This contract is really looking at the first 100 days of the new term of the next president, you know, and for these things to be accomplished within the first 100 days. And in order to do that, you got to have a party that's going to have oversight that these things are going to get completed in a timely fashion. You know what I'm saying? So I'm for it. You know, if we're going to do business, put personal issues aside and let's do business. You know, we don't have to eat, drink, crack jokes, or laugh or anything like that. But here is my offer. You know, here's my contract. Here's my offer. You can take it or leave it. You know, you can review it. You can say, well, this part I'm having difficulties with. Can we revise it and add it? And let me take it back to my team and see if we can perfect it and make it better. But I believe these 13 points that Cube has laid out is something that, you know, I don't see how white America, what reason they could justify in stopping this. Because again, because again, I believe it's going to benefit not only us, but it's going to benefit white America as well. But first and foremost, again, we got to have somebody that's willing to be bold enough,
you know,
to sit and meet with this administration or the future administration.
You know, it in my opinion, it wouldn't help white America, because you got to think about it. We as a black culture are consumers. We the one that consume most. And if think about it, if we were allowed to have another Black Wall Street or another Rosewood, you know, we would thrive and they would be at a loss. And here we go again, them being jealous of the you know, the progress that we've made, and they're still standing still. So I mean that it would be crazy.
So let me clarify what I mean that's going to help white America, because one of the points in these 13 points is that there needs to be more representation of us on every level. There needs to be more of a representation of people of color on every government level, federal, state, and local. And that needs to be something that's mandated. That's how it's going to help white America, because the skill and the ability that we bring to the table is second to none. All right. And also how it's going to help America because of our innovation. If they pour money into our businesses, into the innovation and the technology that Black Americans have, it will help America as a whole on a global scale.
But they're not
all right. That's how it's that. But no, I'm answering Ward's question. I'm talking to Ward's point about it's not going to help white America. It's going to help and benefit America as a whole when they start to include us instead of excluding us.
Right. So
yeah, well, you know, I just hope we don't get hoodwinked by Trump. Rob
I
Tufnell
mean,
brought
we've
up.
been it's been like
Rob
that
Tufnell.
ever since they brought us here.
He said, "Vote, vote, vote." Rob Tufnell.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, to close, to bring a close to the conversation, Trey wrote, "I challenge everyone I know to actually read Cube's contract with Black America CWBA. Just like Rob said, vote, vote, vote. Do your research, do your reading, as much as possible. Get an understanding." As much as possible. We're going to transition to, and it's interesting. We talking about Trump, and as we listen to his town halls and we listen to the debate, one of the things that he has a habit of is just throwing stuff out there, and his fact checks are horrible. His percentage
Yeah.
is so low, and it's become kind of like a habit, for him to do it. And it's interesting because as brothers, we want to, and throughout our journey, we want to simply become better at what we do. We want to become better men, better fathers, better sons, better friends, better husbands, and better spouses, in all things that we do. So it's interesting that we do challenge each other. I'm thankful for you guys with that, man. That we certainly do challenge each other in conversations. But I wanted to talk about habits, if we can, talk about some bad habits that we have, and maybe some ways to get over those habits. If we could briefly, touch on that. I know the time is running. It's almost 8 o'clock now. We don't want to hold everybody too long, but if we could talk about some habits, man. EB, I know you got the boys over there. You got wifey, around there, and you ripping and running, man. And I know we've talked over the years. I know you talked to a lot of people, especially Drake. So what's some of the habits, man, that some of your bad habits you would like to share?
Well,
No.
I mean, I can point them out as personal bad habits, but I think that bad habits are hard to break because they eventually turn into a mentality, especially with procrastination, being on time, waiting to the last minute to do things. I mean, I just think that everybody has those type of bad habits. I could tell you, like, let's just say if Ward, as an African-American community, I could tell you, like, let's just say if Ward says, "Hey, fellas, I'm going to throw some chicken or some salmon and some wings on the grill at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, don't be showing up at 9.
We ain't showing up until 9, right?
Because y'all know the food is going to be cool.
Now, check this out. Now, we showing up at 9. What if Ward only wanted to entertain from 7 to 10?
Right.
Now, that tells you that you got an hour left. Ward's about to clean up. All the food might be gone, especially when I come over there, right? So, it becomes a mentality. I don't want to be the first one there, so I'm going to get there at 9. And I think I was talking yesterday about how we look at certain things. If a movie starts at 8 o'clock, right?
Right.
We ain't leaving our house until 8, knowing that, okay, I got 20 minutes for previews, so I'm going to get there at about 8:20. But that's the mentality that we have, man. And I just think that, we have to get out of that and try to, do things on time, man, and, work on that. And, it takes like at least 30 to 60, 90 days to try and practice working on some of those bad habits, man.
Right.
I agree. Yeah, to piggyback on EB, I actually had a bad habit, with being, a little tardy, but a little tardy, But I think that those habits have been broken. I know my spouse has helped me, get through that, man. She's a person that's always on time and likes to be prompt, for things, and so she has helped me get over that, tardy hump, so to speak. I used to have a bad habit, and I still do, with like biting my fingernails, I don't know
Mm.
the LeBron syndrome. You know what I mean?
I'm right there with you.
I used to bite my fingernail a lot. But
Corinne said yes.
Sharon said lollipop.
hey, Corinne. So Corinne's
Oh,
my
man.
sister, by the way. Yeah. So but I've been breaking that habit, as well. But I think as you get older, I think Anita, Anita Thomas, she says habits is your character's resume, and I kind of believe that if you can't break them, that you will be known for the person coming late. You'll be known for the person who's the procrastinator, what have you. So it does become your character's resume because that's what people would identify you as.
Yeah.
Case in point, and she makes the joke out of it. One of the judges in a superior court, she used to say, "Oh, Mr. Norwood, you're here at 9:01 today, huh? Da da da." So because I would get there like 10 o'clock, I would be in other courtrooms, but that was an ongoing joke, that she and I had that, I made sure that I would go to her courtroom first, because she would just call me out in front of the whole gallery. Like, oh, Mr. Norwood, thanks for coming. Are you early for tomorrow's session, or are you late for today's session type deal? So, but yeah, I definitely, have been able to, break some of those, bad habits as I got older.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know what it is about our people, man. We always late, man. We always late.
Hey, Millie.
When we had something, man, we always late. I will say, Ward is the one that's always on time.
Yeah,
Ward is
Ward
there.
is always on time. Yeah,
Yes, he is.
Ward is always there.
always
I know
on
one
time.
dude that's on here right now. He ain't say nothing in the last 5 minutes. This dude shows up to everything late. And when he walks in, it should be shining lights everywhere when this cat walks in, man.
Theme song.
Will come in late as hell. Like nothing should have started until I got in his place.
And then my leave early.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? What are y'all talking about?
When we talk about you, man. But you know what's funny? When we talk about habits, I think mine is so I think for me, mine is like working out. I know I love my cardio, like, my running. I started biking, getting on the treadmill, whether it's jogging or sprinting. I love my cardio. That's never been an issue for me. It's the weight training, so I can go a good 8 months, 9 months. But then when I stop for a couple weeks, maybe about a month and a half, it's hard for me to get back. And that's a habit for me. And the bad part about it, the habit is I know it's when I start lifting again, it's not going to take me long to get back to where I want to be. So I kind of take it for granted, that when I get back into the gym, it's not going to take me long to get back to where I need to be. So that habit of me taking a break is that part where I fell, so I definitely got to get better with that. One thing, a side note while we on here, Katie, I don't know if you know Big Sis Sharon Allen. She made mention that irregardless is not a word. She made mention of that earlier when he was talking. Big Sis, I don't know if you saw that. Big Sharon said she was messing with you.
Okay. All right.
Sharon got to mess with us. Sharon got to say something.
All right. Is that all she took out of my my expose?
Well,
how's your Giants doing, Sharon? Okay. So,
hey, they won last night.
So here's the thing, though. With punctuality and our people, it's an issue, and many of us may have certain everybody has different reasons for not getting there on time. And it also depends on what I need to be there for. If it's a doctor's appointment, I'm going to get there, 15 minutes ahead of time. If it's a staff meeting, I'm gonna make sure that I'm there on time. If it's something where I may be penalized for being late, if it's a court hearing, I better be there on time, especially for my job, because there's always somebody from my job, from the area office that's got a list to determine who's there on time and who's coming late. So sometimes I think we judge our punctuality on what we may lose if we're not there on time. Are we going to lose out?
You guys ain't important.
You got to let me get there, brother. But then when there are events that are like barbecues, cookouts, or some kind of reception or something like that, some people don't want to get there on time for fear that it won't start on time. All right. Some people don't want to be the first ones there because it's like, I've been to our people's functions before and they never start on time, and when that happens, it gives us a bad name when we're doing events, when we're having certain functions, because we've been negatively impacted by other people being not having good punctuality, being late. It gives us as a whole a bad influence. I was telling the brothers, from my spin class that I have Monday and Wednesdays at the Crop, I'd make sure that I'm there at least 10 minutes before, to make sure that my Bluetooth is working with the speaker, to make sure I ain't got no issues with my playlist. You know what I'm saying? And, because I know my punctuality, if I'm late, that may have a negative impact on people continuing to follow me, in that aspect. And the other thing is, you got to have the same energy for whoever your audience is. I think sometimes, we lose motivation depending on what the incentive is. You know what I'm saying? And that could be a habit that we need to break too, is just staying motivated with something, seeing something all the way through, whatever your project or your goals are. You got to stay motivated to see the whole project through. Sometimes we lose our focus, or we get distracted by other things instead of staying wholeheartedly dedicated to whatever project or plan or goal that we have set. If it's weight loss, if it's stop smoking, if it's fitness, if it's going back to school, what I'm saying? Those things, we got to stay fully motivated and focused, and not let distractions, because some of us are easily distracted. What I'm saying? Grown-ups got ADHD. What I'm saying? When we're not interested or we lose focus, we get on our phones, we on Instagram, we're checking text messages and things like that. What I'm saying? And it's a distraction because it consumes time that could be useful in something that we need to get accomplished. What I'm saying? So, I think everybody has their reasons for continuing a certain negative habit, but the discussion now should be, how do we break that habit?
That's a good question, Katie. I think that sometimes something has to happen in order for people to really, really get it. So, for an example, before this whole COVID thing came, when some people, you have to hit a clock. Now, once they start talking about docking you or, penalizing you, you will get there on time. So I think it has a lot to do with, what's going to happen. What's the repercussion of you being late or not being there on time?
I learned that at an early age. When I first got a local, man, it was like, you got to be there on time. And basically, when you on time, you late. If you early, you on time.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because they don't want to hear nothing.
Yeah.
You know, I get paid by the hour. They want you there all the time. So that's why, you know, I've never had to worry about that because I get there half hour, 15 minutes early. You know, I'm there. But one thing, I will say, one solution we should have for this lateness thing is like Kev was saying. You know, a lot of people don't show up on time for fear of the event not starting on time. Well, we need to start the events just like he said, his class, it has to start on time. Let everything start on time. And then y'all should know if y'all coming to my house, if I said 5 o'clock,
that means 5 o'clock. That means 4:50.
5 o'clock. Who gonna be done at 5?
Right.
So I found this thing. It's called progressive extremism, right? So it's kind of like using what we know about psychology of identity to kind of like stop the behaviors that you no longer want to do. And the idea is that you kind of like start small. So if I want to give up candy, for instance, so I'm giving up a candy that I kind of don't like, you know, or I'm not eating as much. So the candy I like is Snickers. So I'm gonna give up Baby Ruths. I'm gonna give up certain candies, peppermints, and different things. And you progressively move into the thing that you don't like. Because after 2 weeks, if I'm giving up something that's just okay, you know, it could be juices, you know, with all the sugar, you know. So the idea is let me give this up for good. And it's not to give yourself a time frame. It's to give it up for good. You're not going to miss it because you don't really like it anyway, you know.
Right.
And the idea is to tell yourself, you know, that you don't want it anymore, not that you can't have it. You know, I know people, you guys know, I don't eat anymore. So it's interesting when people say to me, you know, oh, Keith, you can't eat this, can you? And I'm laughing because I'm like, I can eat it. I just don't want to, you know. And that's the idea from shifting to I don't want to. I'm sorry, shifting from I can't to I don't, you know. So it's that progressive extremism that kind of can help you migrate from the small things to the bigger things, learning how to, you know, stop those bad habits.
Yeah, because Keith, that negative habit does offer a reward in many instances. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because if I'm hungry, McDonald's is down the street. Let me grab a cheeseburger. The short-term reward is that, you know, you're going to have something tasty, and it's going to fill you. The long-term reward is later on that night. It might not agree with your body.
The bubbles.
You know what I'm saying? And then when you go to that doctor's appointment, your cholesterol is through the roof. Okay, you know, so that while that while that habit may offer a short-term reward, we got to move past that and see what the long-term risk reward is for giving in to the negative habit. You know what I'm saying? So you were saying, Keith, you can't just go cold turkey no more. You can't. You know, to break a bad habit, you can't just boom.
No.
You got to give yourself. You got to go gradual. You got to give yourself 30 days. You know, let me try for 30 days and see if I can fight against the cravings. If I can have a different substitute, you know, that will offer the same reward that I'm looking for in the thing that's toxic to me. You know what I'm saying? And the other thing I found out, but the other thing, wait a minute, Keith, the other thing I found out too is that we got to have people in our life that's going to hold us accountable. You know what I'm saying? Because if I'm struggling with a bad habit, you know, I need to be able to have somebody that I can trust, that I can disclose that to, that can help me with the small incremental steps to get to where I need to. So I need an accountability partner in all of this. What you got, Keith?
Now, it's interesting that you said going cold turkey. So when I stopped eating meat, I thought I went cold turkey. And then, but what was going on was that I realized for a long period of time, I just couldn't digest meat. It was just such a struggle for me to digest the meat. So
Right.
months and months before, I was trying to figure out, like, yo, what the heck is going on with my stomach? And you know, I love me a
Yeah.
grilled dog, man. I love a grilled dog. And I remember going
Right.
to a barbecue, and someone asked me, did I want a barbecue dog? And I didn't take it. And then that was the day I remember not eating meat anymore. But prior to that, like the naked eye sounds like I went cold turkey. But prior to that,
Yeah.
I realized I slowed down. Like I slowed down tremendously before that.
Yeah.
You know, and it wasn't about the not eating the animal. It was just really about, you know, my digestive system and me, you know,
Yeah.
and me eating it, you know, how, yeah. So I you know,
Yeah.
I didn't go cold. You know, I actually
Right.
thought I did. So, you know,
Yeah, you
nah,
had
that's a
to
good point that you.
take some gradual steps to get
Yeah.
to that point.
Mhm.
You know, when you're
Right, yeah,
changing your
yeah,
diet,
yeah.
that's a lifestyle change
It
because
is a lifestyle
we've been
change.
accustomed
It
to
is.
eating a certain way
Yeah.
since we were kids. You
Yep.
know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Right.
And like with Keith going pescatarian, you got to eliminate things from your refrigerator now. You know,
Yep.
because the accessibility to the burgers in your fridge, to the hot dogs in your fridge, you know what I'm saying? All that's there. So, you know, one of the things that we got to do if we're going to change a habit, we got to limit our accessibility to the thing that's harmful to us. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right,
And that means like, you know, slowly and surely you got to start filtering through those things
And
and
stop
doing
purchasing
away
it.
with them. You got to do away with them, you know, so you
Yeah,
can't easily get to it. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah,
You
Make it
yeah,
know,
more accessible. Yep.
yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, so
I
fellas, man,
mean,
we had a really great show, man, where we, you know, touched on you know, our top five Denzel movies. Then we were able to move on to the platinum plan, Ice Cube and the perception and, you know, what was put out there. And, you know, definitely it's that time where it's time for us to vote. It's time for us to get out there, you know, not just for the president, you know, not just the presidential election, but actually the local elections, you know, get out there and see, you know, who's the best candidate, you know, when it comes to the board elections for the school board. You know, those are certainly important. So take your time, do your research, get a better understanding of, you know, who you want to, you know, circle in to represent your kids, you know, in your community. This has been another great episode of Just Our Thoughts with the
Yes, sir.
fellas. If you can, go to our Just Our Thoughts fan page on Facebook, Just Our Thoughts on YouTube, subscribe and like. And we'll be back in 2 weeks, actually September 2nd. I'm sorry, November 2nd,
November.
Right
right before the election. Right before, fellas, love y'all, man. Have a great
Love you,
week.
You too.
Kev.
Shout
These
out
are
to
Love you,
just
Jose
brother.
Rios.
All right, let's go watch some Cowboys lose.
Hey,
Yes,
you know
sir.
what? One thing. I'm sorry. One thing. I wanted to give a shout out. Dr. Schubert jumped on, man. I wanted to give
Yes,
Dr. Shu a
yes,
shout out. You
Oh,
know,
did he?
great Dr.
Okay.
Schubert.
yeah.
Yeah. Give him a shout out, man. I appreciate him for jumping on. And
The
another
good
brother,
doctor.
Kevin, man.
Good doc.
Yeah. And Kevin
The
Hageman,
good
man.
doctor.
Kevin Hageman, he's in here as Kevin Oliver, man. Him and his wife Candy have a podcast. They have a show that they've been doing for years, man. They've been on Steve Harvey.
Yes.
These two are a married couple, man, that you know, exemplifies what a marriage looks like, man. And they talk about it every morning, man. They're home now.
Can't
Doing it.
come
They were in
now.
the car going to work, man. So if you can, y'all check that out, man.
Will do.
My boy Kev and his wife Candy, man. Candy crazy. She's a good sister too, man. Just certainly wanted to give them a shout out. These are just our thoughts. Time for the Cowboys.
Have a good night, everybody.
You lose.
Yeah, you're crazy, man. You're crazy.